Welcome to your friendly neighborhood Marvel movie talk right here on Geekscape. Very excited to be talking to each and every one of you in the chat, our video audience, and understand that for no real reason we're sharing off different characters. Eric has a relevant Spider-Man in the black suit, but that's
And
really
Daredevil in a
kind of
red
it.
suit.
Wow. If you had a Daredevil in the yellow suit figure, I would have to pop you out of this
Understood.
stream. As always, I am Christian Bladt, and Katie Hampton. I'm sorry, which of your feline friends is that you're holding?
This is what we call big guy.
Hey, big guy.
He's
That's
a big
funny
guy.
because also known as Big Guy on this program, the one, the only Count Eric Conner, holding up Sam Wilson back when he was the Falcon. That
Yes.
70s Falcon costume is really a thing of beauty. And I'd love to see it even just for a moment. So, of course, we are here talking about all things Marvel, and what we got from Marvel this week is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the first 2 episodes. Now, I understand from our friend Daniel Drew, who's in the chat, that we're going to get 2 episodes every week for 4 weeks. I think
Cool.
that's what Daniel tells me. And you know what? I believe everything Daniel Drew tells me.
Same.
Literally everything that I believe. And
Not all.
I want to start our conversation with a quote that I was made aware of from our fearless leader, Jonathan London. I did not realize that Hudson Thames or Hudson Thames, the voice actor of Peter and Spidey in here, had made a statement in an interview.
Oh.
And he said, we get rid of the Gladiator 2 advert pop-up ad and the Capital One pop-up ad and the login to create an account pop-up ad. There's a lot of pop-up ads. So
Apply now.
good for Collider. So here's what he said is, my biggest fear was that it was going to be annoying and woke, is what he said. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't have time to consider whether or not this show was woke because I was distracted by the race swaps, gender swaps, and the fact that Peter's new best friend is a lesbian. So if that's woke, I guess that Hudson, you may have been part of a woke show, but and I think that Hudson's like, oh, thank God Anthony Mackie opened his big fat mouth. So nobody's paying any attention to that.
Oh boy, yeah.
We'll talk about the Falcon in a little bit. All right. So we have this breaking news that 3 episodes next week, 3 the week after, and 2 for the finale.
Huh.
Oh wow, that's
we're going to be on a
Echo
special
treatment.
we're going to be on a special day and time next week, so that we can talk to the aforementioned Jonathan London about the GoFundMe that he started for his new comic. And that means that now he's got to watch 5 episodes, although I know that he's watched these first 2. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. There's a lot to dive into. And I think that there's the first thing that Katie and I were talking about when we got started is, Katie, your thoughts on the animation style. I think that's an excellent spot to start for an animated series.
Absolutely. No, I mean they took it back to the Scott Ditko style of art.
Steve Ditko. I'm only going to
Ditko,
correct you
Steve,
because
thank you.
the chat would lose their shit.
I know, Steve Ditko, forgive me. But I love this style. It's so cool. It's such an interesting way of doing it. It harkens back to the comics, and every frame is basically a gorgeous picture. It's I was sucked in immediately. I didn't even see the trailer for this, to be honest, because I was like, oh, I heard that they were doing the show, and I think I maybe watched it for one of our other reviews, but just jumping into the show, seeing this kind of art style, oh, it's so fun.
It is fun, and I like, we've seen this other times where they have like the style of the comic book panels side by side and things like that. There's times we get that. I do think that they go with the very classic Peter Parker with the big round glasses. That's the it is specifically the Steve Ditko, Peter Parker. Some of the style, it also embraces John Romita Sr., who replaced him, I believe, issue 50. And there's really a lot to enjoy when you look at it. And, Daniel will always tell us what he thinks. The mouth movement is a bit choppy, but I don't mind it so much as I have with other shows with similar animation styles. Yes. Choppy mouth movement can be a problem. Eric, I recently bought a Cameo, and there was a lot of choppy mouth movement in that. But Eric, what I want to know from you is your thoughts on this animation style.
I couldn't agree more. It is fabulous. And though we've seen this with some of the other comic book adaptations, not many. And it is similar to like the Spider-Verse. What this does is it gives us its real own unique fingerprint. That does, because we just had our show that if you didn't see, shame on you. How dare you miss it? Where we reviewed all these other Spider-Man cartoons. And
we did go through all 9 of the previous shows leading into this one. Yeah,
9 times.
That's right here on Geekscape, so you can find that.
Yeah. Then we'll shame you less.
Yes,
but this immediately tells you what it is, what it ain't. And by the way, I don't know. I get a little bit annoyed with the term woke. I find it dismissive. I find it like derogatory. And yeah, it's like, guess what? The gender swap, interesting. Like female Doc Ock and Spider-Verse, yes, great.
Right.
Female Dr. Connors, no relation. Love that.
No relation to you, but
no relation to me.
I love this. It's like, hey, who's the female doctor with one arm? Oh,
yeah, right. Which I find it interesting too. Yeah, the woke word is exhausting, and I feel
there
like
was a moment in time where that word meant that word was used favorably, but if you say woke 3 times, it's like turning off the lights and
woke dad shows up.
Well, even better. David Brody shows up, and I think he's only here for one important reason.
The king of
Happy birthday!
Look how cute he is. You just want to squeeze him and hug him.
I know. Our boy is all grown up. Thank you for
I heard you guys
in.
were talking about woke, so I was like, I'm in.
I knew it.
I got cast in this role as David Brody specifically because I'm Jewish. That's the only reason I got this role.
There's
Yom Huledet Sameach, as our people might say.
Shalom.
And there's nothing more woke than using the microphone on your laptop and not the microphone.
You know what? I did it 4 times, and the system confirmed it, and I don't know what's going on.
I've been with you where you've got in and checked it and changed it.
I'm looking at it right now. It says and I'm testing it. My levels are in the microphone.
But if you go like this, we're not going to notice that. Yeah.
Don't hear it. Yeah.
That's like
why are you taunting him on his birthday? This is a day to celebrate Brody.
Those who are watching, this is something we tend to do about 10 minutes before the show, but David is celebrating his birthday today.
We're so excited.
Birthday.
We're happy birthday. And you may or may not know this, but David is he's a man now, and the bar mitzvah will be coming very soon. I believe it'll be themed after the Star Wars series, The Acolyte. So he's going to have a whole big shindig based entirely on that.
I'm hoping
chair legs for you. But as the star, just to play it, Acolyte themed, I die like in the first episode. So
well, that's fair. Yeah,
right away.
but not
really
heroically.
For the first
you die running away from problems and getting run over by a Land Cruiser.
Right, let someone else deal with it. And then I'm dead.
We're glad that we've got Kame Egan here saying, hey, Marvelites. Daniel's wondering if Mrs. Connors will be the lizard or if Kurt wants to heal his wife. I do believe that this Dr. Connors will be the lizard. That's just based on nothing but gumption and good old-fashioned instinct. That's where I'm at. So, Mr. Brody, have you watched either or both of these episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man?
Well, first off, I heard in episode 4 that the Rhino will be making an appearance, but played by a penguin. So, again,
Dane DeVito?
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, it's a diversity animal hire. So.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which by the way, that's DAI.
AI.
So
Mhm.
that's actually still allowed.
We need a black and white animal, so we'll go with a penguin.
Well,
I
Katie's
watched
cat.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
I did not watch the second episode because I'm not staying on the podcast. So I thought, let me just pop in with an overall vibe of the first episode. I enjoyed it. I love his outfit. I love they modernized it with kids streaming, although it seems to take place when he was younger a while ago. So I'm not sure the streaming.
Yeah.
I will give them credit. They did use an appropriate older New York license plate. I have to give them props for that. It's a 20-year-old license plate, the blue and orange one. So I was like, they got that right. And I loved Clev showing up, otherwise known as the do a flip guy. And apparently
Zach
was Zach Cherry. So I was very excited about that. There he is.
Yeah, Zach Cherry.
Wait. Is that his innie or his outie? If you watch
That
Severance?
is her. That is his outie.
He's out.
Sure.
He has no memory of refining numbers. So.
No macrodata
But
refinement.
who amongst us does? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And Radio Man.
Radio Man did not make an appearance.
I was really excited and hoping, and then ultimately disappointed. No Radio Man or no Cuba Gooding's radio.
Or what about Radio Raheem from Do the Right Thing?
Or Radio Days with Eric Bogosian. Carry
Oh,
on.
let's keep going. Maybe Elvis Costello could have come on and done Radio.
Do you
Radio
guys want him to
Murders.
dip
Maybe
out? Or?
We could have heard some Radio Gaga, but we did not hear that either.
Well, Katie's pointing out that video killed the radio star, so we should probably stop this bit.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Mexican
listen
radio is now American radio. I don't know if you saw the big change in the news
Well,
this week.
Yes,
Oh,
Wall of
interesting.
Voodoo is going to have to change their song, Mexican radio.
That's right.
To
American radio.
Cam Egan enjoyed both episodes. I was expecting it to be geared more towards kids and was pleasantly surprised it was more adult. Yeah, we'll
Yes,
talk about how I watched
language.
it with my 9-year-old and 7-year-old.
Oh shit.
That's fine.
Was it like I was actually kind of stunned by the language. I that kind of took me off
There were
guard.
a
I
couple of
didn't realize-
craps and a damn and a hell, but
which is like
you know.
not normal for Disney Plus.
I thought I heard the C word, but maybe
Yeah,
it was
crap,
a different
yeah.
version I was
Yeah,
watching.
crap.
Or
the
it may have
C-
been me.
That's the C word we use
Or are
on
you
the
talking
show.
about
Hey.
the other C word? I'll say it
Husey's
right now
not
if you want.
here, Eric.
The other
So
C
you
word
don't
is
have to worry
Craven,
about that word
spelled with
popping
K.
up on the show. Only when Husey's here.
But I thought I was a little concerned when they started like throwing those out just like willy-nilly. It felt very real because that is exactly how teenagers talk. But I was like, oh, I hope they're not pulling a card and just like throwing in some cuss words just to be cool and modern.
Yeah, I'm not ready for my kids to hear Spider-Man say that
Like,
word.
fuck.
That's my D's.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Drew says, I saw the word porn in a DC comic I read last week, so I think dams and hells are fine. Yeah, I mean, the word porn, you know.
I saw the word DC in a porn I read last week, ironically enough. It was a great crossover.
I saw D in a C during a porn.
See? This is what happens. It's Brody's birthday.
That other C. Yay!
Yeah.
It's going off the rails.
So
Yeah.
that's really what we had to get, but I'm looking for something very much very much on point, something in particular that I'm gonna have to just bring up a less refined version of what it is that I want. But Brody, what are the big plans for the big birthday today? That's what America wants to know, and Canada, by the way. Canada wants to know too. Yeah,
the 51st state. Once I dive off this podcast in about 45 seconds, my cousin is here. She just brought me a Carvel ice cream cake.
Hold on, Fudgy the Whale?
No, Fudgy the circular shape with no definition of character.
Love
but
it.
still with crunchies in the middle, which is all that matters. And we are going to be watching A Real Pain in a few minutes, since it's a movie
which I
about
recommended.
cousins.
You were wondering about that movie. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
Good. I've heard nothing but good things. So the cousins will be watching the Cousins film. Then we'll be doing dinner. The day's planned, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm just ended a 7-day flu virus situation, so happy birthday to me. I'm no longer celebrating suffering from the flu, so that's good. Yeah, so it's good day. It's a good day. My virus knew to get the hell out now that I'm a little bit older.
Good.
Brody, I have an important question, and
Yes,
it's
and then I gotta
personal.
run.
Brody, you don't have to
Front
answer.
or back?
Circumcised.
Front to back, and then Cookie Puss or Fudgy the Whale.
I feel like as a straight man, I should say Cookie Puss.
Oh, hold on now. I think
Fudgy's too woke.
we all enjoy, coming out for a birthday party and seeing a Fudgy the Brendan Fraser just right there on the table. It's most delicious with the little crunchies in there, and that is my favorite ice cream cake, and I will defend it to my dying days. The image that I have on the screen I was looking for, I could have sworn that Wolverine was actually reading Hustler in Uncanny X-Men 129, but I guess it's a Penthouse. But Daniel's talking about the word porn. The 70s, this is 1979, were such a wild time. Wolverine's actually reading Penthouse in a panel. This is the first appearance of young Catherine Pride. And this is how Wolvie's passing the time.
Who was not in that issue of Penthouse, thankfully.
No, she was 13 at the time.
Or you just can't see her.
No.
She's not Invisible Girl. She's not.
She phased through the.
She phased from one. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Eric, do you want to sing "Happy Birthday" in Yiddish for Mr. Brody, because that gets me out
I
of
can do
having
Hebrew.
sing.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet David Brody.
Yeah.
Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Well,
Mazel tov to me, and thank you for all being available to put on a podcast so I could share my birthday with all of you.
We appreciate it.
And enjoy the rest of the podcast. As if you continue this, I'll be on if invited. But I got to go do some celebratory stuff. So
Go
all right,
celebrate, Brody.
Enjoy your real pain.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy watching a real pain while being a real pain. Thank you so much, Mr. Brody.
bye, everybody. Love you all.
Bye.
Love you more than a friend. Oh, it's just the wrong show.
Lucky.
Wait, where did my Loki sauce go? Uh-oh.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
I've got the green screen still up from Tuesday because I got to talk to an animated pineapple in a little bit. But let's try and steer this back on point. I should have that image of Wolverine reading Penthouse saved to my hard drive so I don't have to ever look for it again. I'm surprised that I don't, in all honesty. I'm not going to lie.
You use it that much, huh?
He comes up far more often than it should. Let's be honest about that.
That's what he said. Nah. So, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Dude, the casting on this was fascinating to me. Just
Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop, but so excited about that. That's interesting and totally new. Also, I love Paul F. Tompkins. I love Paul F. Tompkins. It was a little odd hearing his voice out of that character. He was the sort of the professorial lab partner at Oscorp.
Kind of a fitting, I don't know, Paul F. Tompkins, I guess. I mean, he doesn't look like him, but
no. I mean, look, there's not many characters that look like Paul F. Tompkins when they're animated, but it was interesting because it sounded sort of like his Dr. Migliamo type character on Lower Decks, but it was fun to hear his voice, and I was like, Paul F. Tompkins, PFT, yay!
As Bentley Whitman, by the way.
Yes, Bentley Whitman.
And we will be getting some very recognizable voices of characters that, if you haven't seen the trailer, we'll talk about it as these episodes come along. But we're going to get some very recognizable actors as their characters, and in some cases playing other characters. So I think the voice casting is good. I think, even though Hudson, and it's Hudson Thames, but do I have to call him Hudson Thames? I really don't know.
I truly
actually don't know
the actual pronunciation, and I was wondering that as well. But I love that he was doing the voice in What If, and also is coming over and doing it here. Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that when this show was originally announced, it was Spider-Man freshman year, and it was going to be in continuity in the MCU. And this is clearly not in continuity in the MCU. We are in another corner of the Spider-Verse, and we can assume that the Doctor Strange we see in the beginning is actually our Doctor Strange. And he's like, "Oh wait, this isn't right. I'm not supposed to be here,"
Because he's got the leopard print gloves. I mean, it's very comic book accurate. He's got the mustachio thing, and I was like, "Oh, are we actually saying that is our Doctor Strange?"
Well, it's interesting because Peter didn't know who he was. He's just he's just a magician guy,
magic guy. Yeah,
but we also
he did know Iron Man.
He knows, well, yeah, because Iron Man's hanging from, but
they also have the Avengers Tower when you're coming in the beginning,
and there's a picture of Norman Osborn with Cap, so it's like it's hanging up at. Did they actually call it Oscorp? I think they did.
They did. They called it Oscorp, and they also even mention Roxxon Oil Company at one point. So already they're setting up sort of like some villains in the future. And as anyone can see, and I think Cammie even said it in the chat, but anybody who's seen the IMDb, Vincent D'Onofrio is coming.
So is Charlie Cox.
So is Charlie Cox, which is very exciting. Glad that they're doing that. I was curious though, and maybe this is more of a question for y'all who've maybe read the comics or understand the other series. Which version of it was Venom that popped out in the very beginning, right?
It was a version of Venom.
Yeah,
it definitely, somebody who's
second cousin of Venom.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of those symbiotes. There's a lot of those different characters, and that did look mostly like Venom, but it could be another one of the symbiotes. I thought
it was interesting that was the origin point of the spider, is from a different universe and a different style of spider. So is he infected with spider juices or Venom spider juices?
That's a great question, and that was actually one of the things I wanted to make sure we talked about, is because we've gotten different versions of the Spidey origin story, And so in this one, they've chosen a couple of things. They reference Uncle Ben, which Tom Holland's Spidey never did. And Uncle Ben is dead before he becomes Spider-Man.
Right.
And so if he doesn't have the guilt of being able to save Uncle Ben, he's just a completely different character. He's not so tragic and honestly so sad.
Well, no, but I'd say though, like, loss is still built into him, just like, kind of all the Disney cartoons, right? It's where you find someone that has both parents in Disney, and same with the comic books. Like, so Spidey is already, his parents are out of the picture. He was raised by his aunt who recently lost her husband. So I feel like there might not be guilt, but there's sadness and loss, which could fuel his desire to help people and try to be a legitimate Spider-Man, including one who allow that one woman to go, just because he felt bad for her. So I think it's a very the title "Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man." I think it was more than just, of course, a tip of the hat to the history of Spider-Man. I think it also speaks to what this show is, because so much of it is about the neighborhood and about New York.
Yeah. Well, and modern day too, which I thought was an interesting take on it all. I mean, with the live streaming, like Brody talked about briefly, and with the whole, I don't have any cash on me, can I Venmo you?
Right. Don't follow. I love that line.
Don't follow.
I got distracted because I needed to find that image of Wolverine doing some light reading. But I did want to comment that I do feel like it is present day. It seems as though it's not an earlier era. And again, this is a different universe. This is not our Spidey. And Daniel Drew's saying it takes place in 2016-ish. Or does it? Because this isn't the Spidey who goes on to have Tony Stark be his mentor. We've seen who's going to be his mentor in this case, which is kind of an interesting thing. And Daniel pointing out it is like Miles Into the Spider-Verse. It's another 100%. Universe's Spider biting another universe's Peter.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I thought was so interesting, especially about this one. I was like, this feels like Miles' start to the story and not necessarily Peter's, which is an interesting take. We also have a lot of different variations of people and all of that. So I'm really, I do love just sort of this older style of art being how they're drawn. I'm very curious about. So who's the guy that ends up being his lab partner? This isn't Flash or anything, is it?
No,
No, Lonnie Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we spend a lot of time, and I found that to be very interesting that somewhere in here, Daniel mentioned it, that they really kind of take the time to embrace and go for the fact that they're dealing with the race aspect. He has people looking at him while he's walking home, and it's sort of like just trying to be like, yeah, look, he lives way uptown, and police officers kind of look at him when he walks by, so it's like they take the time to do that. And as I mentioned, I watched it with my 9-year-old and 7-year-old, and I was like, all right, I feel like this is a good thing, and if there's any questions, we can talk about them. But, they were just kind of watching to see it. Lonnie Lincoln goes on to be a character that I feel it's funny because at the end of the first episode, my kids are like, it's like, it is not Norman Osborn. They're like, who's that? I'm like, oh, well, and I was like, oh, do you want to keep watching and find out? And like, they're both like, no, tell me. I'm like, all right. So he's Green Goblin, and they know Green Goblin primarily as Gobby on Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, cute.
So yeah, so they know the character. Okay. And
even a horrific creature, when you add a Y to their name, it really changes the whole thing.
It does. It cute surprise it, but
like in a he's Gobby. He's like, yeah, Gobby's up to no good,
Sure.
Something to be said. So yes, and I was getting to it, Daniel. So we're basically doing what I do with my kids. Lonnie Lincoln goes on to be Tombstone.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, because I as soon as he was like introduced, I was like, oh, is this Flash? Like, what is this gonna be? And then they said Lonnie Lincoln. I was like, oh, this is not a character I'm familiar with, and I forgot to look him up. But yeah, good to know.
William Walton says it's not clear in the episode, according to Wikipedia, the guy Peter rescues in the alley is Harry Osborn. It was fairly clear to me because his hair is.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They have done race swaps with the Osborn family, but they still have that hair that Harry and Norman Osborn always had. And because I knew what Norman Osborn looked like for the show, I knew that was Harry. Even my wife was like, oh, okay. She's like, that's not James Franco. Or wait, I guess we have to replace James Franco with Dave Franco these days because Dave Franco not canceled. Dave Franco can still work. But either way, no one in the Franco family is in there. And yeah,
not even Franco Harris from the Steelers.
No, and not Generalissimo Francisco Franco. He's still dead. So
Franco Zeffirelli. Moving on.
In any case,
but that's good to know. Yeah, I didn't realize that was Harry. I knew he was probably a character that was going to be coming back.
There was like a news, like when they were going through the news, and Crusher Hogan showed up, which I was excited about. I think they had a moment.
That's the wrestler that Peter, when he's trying his hand at wrestling, that's who he fights against. And what were you going to say, Eric? Sorry.
No, so it was like flipping through, and I think they name checked him as Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I completely missed that. There's a lot of really great characters in this series that already we're getting right off the gate. I mean, I did see that photo of like all the different variations of like Spider-Man and like all the villains and all the stuff. So I'm like, we're in for a ride of just a ton of characters coming into the show. So very excited about that.
And I agree with Daniel that the opening credits, we see some of Peter's various costumes he's made, and the Homecoming suit is 2 suits away from the current one. So yeah, we do get to see kind of a lot of that. And go ahead, Eric.
No, it's good. In the comics, were there versions where Oscorp sort of helped design Spidey's suit?
So my recollection is that a couple series ago, the one on Disney XD, I thought that was kind of an aspect of that story, but someone can certainly correct me on that. But I don't know it from the comics because they never really did, comics that I've read, they aren't ones where anything was really retconned. They
Yeah.
brought Norman Osborn back from the dead, but that happens to the best of us,
Yeah.
So, sometimes you just can't stay dead. So I don't know that was in the comics, but probably some variation on it. Peter working for Oscorp is definitely something that I've seen, but it's Harry who's running the company, and Harry and Peter have, a bit of a complicated relationship. But so, yeah, it's chock full of characters. And sometimes you need to have your decoder ring to go like, all right, well, so this is going to be the Lizard. Another character that my kids know from Spidey and His Amazing Friends is Lizard.
Do they call him Lizzie?
They
Yeah.
don't actually. They
It's
call
Lizzie
him
McGuire.
Right.
I'd watch that show where it's Lizzie McGuire, but she's actually the Lizard.
The Lizard.
The entire time. And we got some nice homage to Amazing Fantasy 15. Daniel Drew pointing it out. That's in the news broadcast where he's carrying Harry. So yeah, I think that it is very familiar for all the things that are different about this show. It's still Peter Parker. He's still, kind of goofy, down on his luck, brilliant. There's always some girl that he's afraid to talk to, so I like that. And I want to know what Daniel thinks. Daniel, do you think that Nico could end up being Nico from the Runaways? Because it seems like a very similar character, which I think would be great. Because if they want to bring the Runaways in on this show, I think that that is a team up that I would enjoy. What were you going to say, Mr. Conner?
Yeah, no, I think that's what's kind of cool about where they've set this thing up already with the first 2 episodes, is they're giving us the very human side of these characters. So if they want to go enter the Runaways or bring in the Tombstone pile driver, they can. And because we know them already, we're going to be so much more invested in when they do change or get a new power, reveal their sinister plans. So now I'm excited about the pieces they've already given us. And, even like you meet Dr. Connors, which they did to us before in Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire movies. And then they never went there. We kept waiting for a Lizard who never showed.
But Andrew Garfield had the Lizard. So
yes, he did, but he didn't have Dylan Baker, is that the actor, as the Lizard, which I would have been very excited to see what he did with that role. Sure. I think this could be a nice little entry point for a lot of these smaller characters. And maybe this is where we get some of the leftovers, we'll call it, from that last phase of Marvel that didn't quite get the love they deserved.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So our buddy Daniel Drew sent me this on Instagram, and I want to share it. So this is a sequence from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and you're seeing it side by side with familiar. The same sequence from No Way Home. So this
same
is the beginning of the sequence.
Was
which we will not be playing because
I could sing it in Hebrew for you. No, it's all Jay's left hand free.
Yeah.
Okay. There was something very familiar about this sequence. And I also the way that they do a 3D setting within this comic book style is so well done, like with this animation. This was also one of those things that I was just like, when we revealed that this is Harry or Norman Osborn, I was like, are we going to be seeing a different version throughout the entire thing? And boy, did we got to see a couple different versions of different people. Yeah. So I'm excited to also not know what a character is when they come on screen, and then later find out that there's someone huge that we may or may not know, and then have a completely different story and arc, which is really cool to keep us guessing where they're going to go with characters.
So Daniel Drew, she does say her last name, and I actually forgot that. So yes, it is. Nico is indeed the same, and Ivan Soto was a little bit late. That's 10 demerits, Ivan Soto, but you can make it up with some extra credit. Yes, so getting to see that this is Nico from the Runaways, so that that definitely opens the door for any of those other characters. And Daniel Drew, he is always someone who would like them to be consistent with the cast. When you are bringing characters back, he does wish that they'd brought Lyrica O'Connor, the actress from Hulu's Runaways, back to voice Nico for this. It would have been a nice casting callback. You know what? Let's hope for Miss O'Connor's sake. She was too busy working on something else, and she just didn't have the time for it. But
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. And, we've built up a very interesting supporting cast. We have Lonnie Lincoln, we've got Nico, no Flash Thompson in sight, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way,
Cool.
We've seen 2 episodes. So
Patience.
there is plenty of time.
What do you guys think it is that they're releasing 3 episodes next week? Why do you think that is?
3 episodes each of the next 2 weeks. I am not sure, because sometimes you'll see an accelerated release schedule to get it out in time before
something. Yeah.
But it's not going to come out. They're not going to be done before Brave New World.
Yeah, but maybe there's something in one of those episodes.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's leading to that or connecting something. But I didn't think that any of this would be super connected to any of the massive Marvel
that
films.
we're going to get Red Hulk in an episode of this. Oh, that would be great.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Daniel Drew, DC does it all the time, bringing back old cast and animated and live action projects. Yeah, I think that when they did Flashpoint, didn't they even figure out a way to have Kevin Conroy be an older Batman, a live action Batman? I didn't watch those shows. Okay, it's not my rice bowl, as I've heard said. It's just like there's a lot of DC shows with a lot of seasons and a lot of episodes, and I don't love those characters the way that I do. And by the way, we've got Deadfool in the chat, so thank you, Deadfool, to please click like, smash that like button, you cowards,
you miser,
come on,
you miser.
Yeah, I know.
Somehow that makes you cheap.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
This is Deadfool. Listen to Deadfool.
I love it.
I appreciate that. And yes, Daniel, I know. That's why I defer to you on these things, because you did watch them all. I understand that their Crisis on Infinite Earths was actually very entertaining and well done. And, I think they brought in Supermans that weren't Dean Cain. I think that's the way that I understand it. Because you gotta have standards, but in any case, yeah. And this is interesting. I didn't see this from the showrunner. He wanted to feel like a broadcast TV show. I mean, the breaks felt like commercial breaks.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. They did. And it was actually really nice too, because I felt like every episode led to sort of a cliffhanger moment of making me want to watch the next one.
Yeah. And it was very easy when I had the second one to just click on. But now I'm like, let's talk about that ending. I mean, it is canon that fairly early on, Norman Osborn does figure out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And the way that I remember it is that Peter Parker doesn't realize that Norman Osborn is the Green Goblin before Norman figures out who Peter is. So, and we see that, you can remember Willem Dafoe knowing that Peter's Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi film. So we get that dynamic a lot. So this is going to be very interesting, because by all indications, he's not currently the Green Goblin. That is something that might come later. I don't know what you all think, but what are your thoughts? I'll ask you first, Eric. Mm-hmm. The revelation that at the end of they dropped the bomb at the end of the second episode, you're a Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, I love that it happened so much earlier than we'd expect.
Yeah.
And I think the secret identity thing too, that notion that someone or a couple people know, can be really of interest storytelling wise. Like there's a lot you can then do. And then the fact that he and Norm are tethered, and Norman has something over him. I think that's great for the writing. And
you can't call him Norm, because then I imagine Norm Macdonald as the Green Goblin.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I got some of those. I'm gonna throw some some pumpkin bombs at you. So watch
It would
out,
be
Spidey.
amazing if every time he walks into the office, everyone just said Osborne.
Norman.
By the way, my friend that I'll be talking to a little later from now, Echo Pineapple. I don't know. I feel like he's the only animated British pineapple on the internet, but so if there's another one out there, let us know.
They battle
he
at
is
dawn.
referring Spider Nerd. So we appreciate that from Echo
Sing it,
Pineapple.
Christian.
But
that's
Sing
only
it.
about Katie.
no, if we were taking super chats, I'd be like, all right, thanks for the $2. Spider Nerd. But we're not monetized, so we can't do
yet.
that.
So subscribe to the channel, like it, comment.
You misers.
You misers.
You misers. So what's so our thoughts in just sort of getting that reveal, though? I wanted you to finish your thought, Eric. I got distracted by the pineapple.
Yeah, as we all do in life. I think it opens a great door. Tony Stark at the end of the first Iron Man, I am Iron Man. Besides being a great music cue, it also then it's like, okay, well, now let's see what's the world like with Tony Stark as a known superhero. How does that change the math? So, especially too, considering how much he was getting crapped on at work. Yeah. I think there's something to be said for him being now like Norman's prized pet. I think gives you a lot to work with, and also adds to Peter's already abundance of neuroses. You just threw a whole bunch more into the mix. So I think it was a great choice. Doing it at episode 2 was surprising, and that's the writing of this so far has been great. I think this is X-Men 97 and this. What if we don't talk about that show? and I think right now Marvel Animation is in a really good place, the way DC Animation was for a while, as the DC Animation was so much stronger than DC live action. So right now Marvel Animation is kind of lifting up, I think, this whole franchise. So hopefully we'll see what happens in 2 weeks when we're sharing a nice popcorn like you promised, Christian, over a Brave New World.
Yeah,
one popcorn.
I think I did promise that. Ivan Soto does make the point, and Ivan, thank you for this, because I did not put notes together for today, and if I did, I would have made sure to mention, yes, we did already meet another Runaways character. We had Amadeus Cho at Oscorp.
Okay, I was wondering who this was, because it felt like an actual, I was like, Amadeus is not a name that you just throw around.
I just wish that they had sprung. I wish that they had sprung for the Falco song "Rock Me Amadeus" when he walked in. I think that would have been money well spent. So one of the things that a couple of people have mentioned that I do want to talk about, Cam Egan says, I love the use of 60s Spider-Man theme mixed with hip hop.
So
Ivan also likes it. I prefer the parts that aren't using the old song. I think I don't know. I don't love the tinny one channel, like off in the corner version of the Spidey theme song. So it'll grow on me, I bet. But yeah, I didn't love it. So, but I feel like I'm in the minority.
I think you are. The one time, but
yeah, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things that I feel like they're kind of laying the thread of like what the possibilities are, where they can do similar storytelling to all of our Spider-Man type stories, but but they're also changing it, and they're also going different ways. I agree. Like, the writers on this show have put some interesting, like, put them in a corner type of like scenarios where you have to fight your way through. So Norman already, I always do that. Norman already knowing that Peter is Spider-Man is a fascinating concept, because does that mean that Spidey's tech is going to get a nice boost in the near future? Does that mean that Norman's going to be on his side? Does that mean that he knows exactly how to take him down when he does turn evil? Is he going to break bad? But we already know from Nico and what she said that Oscorp is not the greatest corporation to be working for. So clearly there's something going on there. And whether or not Peter has to deal with sort of these ethical issues whilst interning and being known as Spider-Man. What a great corner to paint yourself into.
Yeah, look, I think at the end of season 1, Norman Osborn's going to buy Twitter and change the name of it. So we're going to really be in for something when that happens. We were talking about minor characters that we get to see. We should talk about Butane, who is the guy setting the fires, who first, I had to look this up. He first appeared in Excalibur issue 64. So he is not a well-known character, so it was fun to see that. And my kid said, "Who's that?" And I'm like, I got to look it up. I forget.
So, right. Yeah. It was,
you don't know everything, Dad.
No, that's true.
That was a character I couldn't remember, but I was like, I feel like I've seen the name Butane before, whether it be in video games or whatnot. But the name Jake Green is the voiceover actor, and he's been in a million things, from DC to Marvel to Star Wars to all sorts of different things. Big voiceover actor.
Yeah.
So really great to hear his voice. I was like, that voice is so familiar. If you look up his IMDb, you'll know him from like at least 3 projects.
Well, I also, that whole set piece in the pet store was awesome.
Yes,
and especially when he saved the
fish,
the fish, and then the gerbil, and then the snake almost ate it.
Yeah.
My wife laughed when I pointed out this is real Pee-wee's Big Adventure vibes.
Right. Yeah. Well, but like also, I feel like also setting up sort of Peter's whole ethical dilemma of like, oh shoot, like I want to make sure everyone's good and safe, but that always results in someone getting hurt in some way or another. And what a great theme to start this show off with.
Yeah. Mr. Pineapple, I'm going to speak with you in about 10 minutes for something that we're recording, and I don't think that this is the way you should talk to someone who's being kind enough to be a guest on your show. Christian, I wish you had Bailey Hoskins' ability specifically for this stream. No suit. That's a character who blows himself up, and Echo Pineapple wanting me to explode. Look, this would go viral. That'd be great for you guys. But I would prefer not to do that, but that's all right. And I'll let you know when this conversation with Echo Pineapple is likely to come up, to be available. So
you can find it in the dark web all hours of the night.
The dark Madam Web. I was like, wait, where
there it is?
I know. I had moved. Because, Brody really kind of earned it earlier.
For having a birthday.
Yeah, a little bit earlier. This didn't come up, and this is a great way to start to kind of wind down. Ivan Soda wanted to know, he probably missed it. We didn't actually talk about this. Did you expect to like this show? I will go first so that Katie and Eric can think about their answers. I knew what I was looking for, so I knew what I would say about it. The interesting thing is that I always want to like these shows, and there's times where I feel like they work, and then there's times where I don't, look, I don't know how long this show is going to hold my interest. The first 2 were good. If they have a season that's even half as good as X-Men 97, I'll probably be excited for season 2. And I know it'll be sacrilege to a couple of you in the chat, but I'll notice this more with Star Wars animated series. Specifically, I'm thinking of The Bad Batch. I'll check it out. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then I blink and there's 4 seasons and I go, all right. So I think that this is Spidey. So I love Spidey. I'm excited to do it. I feel like it's good because we would have nothing to talk about for these few weeks before Brave New World. So I hoped I would like it, but I wasn't sure. The visuals looked cool. I saw some of the different ways the characters would be portrayed. I think this Norman Osborn is, on every level the same as any other Norman Osborn we've ever had before, which you want the character to be consistent, and they've done that so far. So it'll be interesting to see. So I hoped I would like this show, and so far I have enjoyed it. What about you, Katie?
I honestly didn't expect to like this. Great question, Ivan. I didn't know what to expect because I didn't watch too many trailers about this. I saw some of the images and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out, see what's up. And I agree, exactly like Christian. I always want to like these things because Marvel has been so hit or miss for me lately. And What If kind of made me bummed out. And then coming into this show, I was like, we'll see. But I got sucked in. I was even playing on my phone, like thinking about like maybe I'll write notes or something like that. And then I was like, yeah, I'll just scroll through social media because who isn't doom scrolling these days? And then as the show went on, I put my phone down and I was actually watching because I was really enjoying the art. I was really enjoying the storytelling and the voiceover actors. So I'm actually like an unexpected fan of this now, and I'm excited to see new episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I think that I was able. My kids were engaged enough that there were no complaints for me starting the second episode. But my daughter's always afraid she's going to be terrified of everything because one year for my birthday, I was like, "Oh, let's watch the first episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends," the show I watched as a kid. And my daughter still talks about being horrified by Dr. Doom. She just would be really upset whenever he's on screen. I'm like, that's the point, right? That's why he has the scary metal mask. You're supposed to be scared of him. And I said, I'm pretty sure he's not in this. But if he is, you're 7 now.
I'll let you know.
You're not 4 anymore, so that's all right. What about you, Eric? Did you expect to like this show?
Well, ironically, Spider Baby from Toy Story is the way I destroyed my son's childhood. Because he talked about it a lot. I bought him one. I found it on eBay. He opened the box. He ran out of my house, ran down the street, refused to come back until I threw it away. And the joke is, I don't think I threw it away. So at some point, it's coming back.
Oh, no.
So that's my Dr. Doom tale of parenting gone awry.
You guys
or gone correct. Because then I can weaponize it against him. If you don't listen to me, Spider Baby's going to tuck you in.
Jesus.
Hey, listen, you got to use everything you got in order to parent well. So I think this I had really no expectations for. X-Men 97, great.
Yeah.
Continuation of something that was great, and they kept the spirit of it. What If this season a lot more miss than hit, a lot more, and Marvel Zombies. Oh gosh, I mean that might be a bit of a chore, but this has so far 2 episodes in.
I'm gonna be sick that month. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Well, and I think for 2 episodes so far, this again shows someone at the helm who really knows what they're going after. I think sometimes, and we know this behind the scenes stories of like showrunners getting swapped out, changes last second, reshoots, everything. But it feels like both this and X-Men 97 have a real strong vision to them, understand what they're doing and how that has not been, that's real estate that hasn't been plundered yet by the other Marvel titles in the cinematic and television universe. So I think it's off to just a great start.
Yeah.
Really blew away my expectations. I mean, it's family, but does not feel kiddie.
Yeah.
I was worried that we were going to get rougher language. Like once they started in with, crap and hell and damn, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my fear too.
And by the way, we still might.
They might, but I don't know. Just the storytelling alone feels like we're setting up larger arcs that are more important than just throwing a couple craps in there,
Yeah.
So something that did not happen with Picard season 1. So things like that. I feel like we're getting a lot of good signs that we're going to have some really great stuff in the future.
Wait, and one thing too, I really like, it's always to web. Should it be out external or internal? The age old debate.
Yeah.
I love that he's still sort of tinkering with it. Excuse me.
And I like that he's got the tanks on. He's working on the whole thing and trying.
And it's not great yet. Like he's has to reconfigure it as he goes. And I think that's the stuff I love is early stage superheroes when they're not quite in control. Yeah. And as a makeshift costume, I was really impressed with this one because I completely believe if one of us wound up being a Spider, man, woman, web, whatever it may be. This might be the thing we actually come up with, where it doesn't look stupid, but you realize like it needs to be of a certain level. And even the sort of like snow goggles he has.
Yeah,
It's a great touch.
I do like
and
those.
clearly
There's
have like
such-
some kind of like tech within the band or something like that.
Yeah.
I do love that it's also sort of like a Ravens jersey, but it's got a spider on it, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering where that came from. Like if that's an actual thing within their universe. Like who are the
the
spiders?
spiders.
He
Yeah.
repurposed the team shirt or whatever because
Yeah.
they're the Ravens. So
And I did appreciate that, he's doodling in class and it's the Spidey suit that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Just really quick, another question from Ivan. Do you think that the girl who picked up the pack with the spider that bit Peter is Cindy Moon? Daniel
Ooh.
Drew hopes that is the character Silk. So I think that the fact that we've already seen Venom, that tells me that we will probably see a lot of that. Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier, I think before you popped in, Ivan. The pizza scene was very powerful and meaningful, and we talked about Lonnie walking home and just sort of, everybody kind of looking at him, and so yeah, I think that this is a show that has the potential to be very powerful. It manages to be very entertaining. I want more recognizable supervillains. I know they needed to set it up. The fact that we're getting 3 episodes next week, and I know that we're going to see Doc Ock. Hugh Dancy is going to be the voice of Otto Octavius, who people know him from a lot of things, including the current iteration of Law and Order. But he was also Detective Will Graham on the Hannibal TV series. So that'll be great to see all these people. And speaking of the fact that we'll have 3 new episodes. So next week, our show will be this show, Marvel Movie Talk, will be on Friday, February 7th. That will be at 6 p.m. Pacific. And I know that's 9 p.m. Eastern. So I hope that some of our East Coast friends are able to, forego a wild night out, go out to the club, and pass up on some of those and hang out with us. Our friend Jonathan London will be with us talking about a fundraiser he's doing for a comic book. I'll let him explain it. I'm going to have read it by then, so you will find us then. We'll get into a regular rhythm as we cover the last couple batches of this show, but that's next Friday. And yes, Echo Pineapple points out that if you're in the UK, you could catch it in the morning. Yeah, so you can do all those things. And yeah, Dan will be able to watch again because it's not past his bedtime, but maybe you'll already have on your slippers and your smoking jacket, your Hugh Hefner style smoking jacket. So
with his chessboard in the corner,
right? Of course,
in a nightcap.
I hope. We a sleepover episode where we all have those like old style nightcaps. So I think the takeaway here is strong start. First 2 episodes of this. Can't wait to see more. We'll talk more about it next Friday, the 7th, which is the day before my birthday. So Mr. Brody got serenaded. So Eric, I would like you to learn happy birthday in Klingon. Give you a little bit more than a week to do that. All right. Yeah. Although I don't know that there's a Klingon word for happy. So
that's fair.
Less bloody.
But you'll be able to find us then. And obviously throughout the run of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And we will, of course, be covering Brave New World when that is released, technically the evening of February 13th. So in addition to those programming notes, tomorrow, Eric Conner and I will be talking about Tom King's The Penguin on Geekscape Book Club on this very same YouTube channel. So please check us out at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I haven't finished yet. I don't know if you have, Eric. If I know you haven't even started. No. So
that might be true.
That might be
only one way to find out. You got to tune in.
Yeah, maybe I hope you've read it by tomorrow. So in the meantime, Katie Hampton, where do people find you?
Well, you can always find me on the Geekscape Network on YouTube. So you can always check out Napping Through Happy Hour, our new podcast, Christian Cringe, where a good friend of ours, Eric Conner, also joined us for an episode where we covered the video game, the Nintendo Entertainment System's video game, Exodus. It's true to form, great Old Testament game. You could also, there's a great show that's going to be coming out very soon on the Geekscape Network called Internet Supreme Court starting in March. So please stay tuned for that. Guys, remember to like and subscribe Geekscape so you can get all the new shows coming up and all the great stuff with Christian and Eric, because we got a lot of really fun stuff coming up this year and I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of great stuff going on, so please like and subscribe. What did Dead Fool say? You cretins or
You
what
misers.
You misers.
That's it. Yeah, come on, it's free.
There's probably cretins out there too.
Eric Conner, in addition to Geekscape Book Club tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, where can you be found?
Well, I'm actually, for one, I was, now I'm nervous. I was thrilled to be part of Christian Cringe in a very special, very Jewy episode dealing with Exodus. I was the Loki sauce. I would like to think of the chicken nuggets. That is Katie and Kelly. I also recently appeared on Film Courage, the website. They interviewed me over at the New York Film Academy. Already have people who are very angry with me for my points of view. So there's that excitement. So you want to be part of the debate? Lover or hater, all are welcome. Friend or foe, filmcourage.com, I believe it is. And it's over on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel, all that. And Count Eric Conner is where you can get this webhead. So thank you.
And don't forget to follow our friend David Brody. It's his birthday. So everybody go subscribe to the Brooklyn Boys. And that's over there on iHeart and wherever you find podcasts. So please make sure you check it out. Echo Pineapple says can vouch for the Cretans. If anyone happened to get a packet of the Progresso soup drops, I'll pay for some. All right, find Daniel Giron. I don't even know what he's talking about, but I don't know. I assume there must be Spidey Progresso soup drops. But we appreciate that. And I did on my channel, the Blackcast, where I know some of you are watching right now. We did an episode at the end of last week where a few of us spoke with Daniel Waters, who is a screenwriter, and he has written Batman Returns, Heathers, Demolition Man, also Hudson Hawk. But the movie that we talked to him about was the greatest film of 1990, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. So he also wrote one of my favorite films, and this is the cassette that I do drive of the soundtrack that I do indeed have in my car sometimes, and that's how the episode started. There's a story about that. So you can find that over there at the Blackcast, BLADTCAST. And if we're keeping the plugs going, if you don't want to see whether or not Kendrick calls Drake a PDF file live during the Super Bowl halftime, we're doing our own Super Bowl halftime show over on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel. Who Are These Broadcasters? So you can keep that in mind for your Super Bowl Sunday needs. That is all the time we have for now. Check out Eric and I tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, talking about Penguin. And, of course, we'll be back here on the 7th. Daniel, I don't know what you're talking about. This is a hard candy. They released it. Tastes like chicken soup. They had 2 days of releasing them, and he got the time wrong this morning. Well, anybody knows what he's talking about.
Daniel, are you okay?
He's Jedi time saying. So
blink twice if not.
Yeah. That's rough. He thought it was 9 a.m. PST, not EST. Well, you live in EST.
So hard
in any case, we'll be back with this show on February 7th, and you'll see Eric and I tomorrow. Until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!